Chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between me and thee. But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, thy maid is in thine hand. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarai dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. And the angel of the Lord found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, whence camest thou? And whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Return to thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hands. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. And she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her, Thou God seest me. For she said, Have I also here looked after him that seeth me? Wherefore the well was called Bir Laharioi. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bare Abram a son, and Abram called his son's name, which Hagar bare, Ishmael. And Abram was 86 old when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram. So, recapping chapter 16, Sarai had no children, but she had an Egyptian handmaiden, or a female servant, named Hagar. Sarai told Abram to sleep with her to get a child, which he did. He also married Hagar in verse 3. In verse 4, when Hagar got pregnant, it says in the Bible, her mistress was despised in her eyes. So the mistress would be the woman in charge, in power, even though now mistress has a different term or a different connotation than it did during this time. That's why, in order for me to understand this work, I keep a thesaurus and dictionary, like pulled up in my tabs, because there's just no way to get through this. The lexicon changes every few years. And so to understand what an ancient text like the Bible says, you really do need to have a dictionary. But it says here her mistress was despised in her eyes. And what this is saying is once Hagar became pregnant, she started to get disrespectful to Sarai because she was able to do something for her husband that she couldn't do. And she started getting disrespectful. Sarai tells Abram about it and begins to regret this situation. Abram tells Sarai to deal with this as she sees fit because she is Sarai's maid. So he says that she can deal with her how you see fit. So Sarai dealt with pregnant Hagar harshly, and she fled into the wilderness. An angel of the Lord found Hagar, asked where she came from, where will she go. Hagar told the angel that she fled from her mistress, Sarai. The angel told her to return to Sarai and to submit herself under her hands, yield to her authority. So here the angel is correcting Hagar, letting her know that she's wrong, and telling her, you need to respect Sarai, because you need to respect this woman. This was her marriage before you got there. And yes, you are providing something that she can't provide right now. But you need to respect her. You're still her maid. And you might be a wife, but you're still a maid first. Verse 10, the angel told Hagar, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly. It will not be numbered for multitude. And it says, that's saying not be numbered for multitudes. This is saying Hagar's seed, Hagar's offspring, will also be numbered, so numerous that there will be no way to keep count. I also highlighted that the angel said, I will multiply thy seed. He didn't say, thus saith the Lord. He said, I will multiply the seed. So it's just something that I noticed there in verse 10. But the angel also tells Hagar that she'll birth Ishmael, and the name Ishmael because the Lord has heard her affliction. When you look up Ishmael in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it says social outcast. And then in verse 12, confirms that by saying, he will be a wild man or an unruly man. His hand will be against every man's hand, and every man's hand will be against him, but he will be prosperous. And that's what that's saying in verse 12, where it says he'll dwell among his brethren. And some of these passages in the Bible, there is a little text that will describe what some of these ancient phrases mean. So that's how we got, he will be prosperous. Ishmael will be prosperous, even though he'll be a social outcast and he'll be unruly. Ishmael was born when Adam was 86 years old. So I have nothing else to add after that. Thank you for watching, and I will be continuing in chapter 7.